This week I want to go back to 10 Theories of Human Nature by Leslie Stevenson and David Haberman and look more closely at Chapter 2, the chapter on Hinduism. What I'm going to do is excerpt passages from that book that seem especially important to me at this point in our semester. It is absurd to attempt to represent Hinduism with a single text, for no particular text is accepted as authoritative by all people who might identify themselves as Hindu. The Upanishads, which contain highly speculative thought about the ultimate nature of reality, are among the greatest intellectual creations of the world. Their overall theme is one of ontological unity, the belief that everything is radically connected. Brahman is declared to be the highest aim of all metaphysical inquiry. The term Brahman is derived from a Sanskrit root that means to grow or to expand or to increase. It has come to be identified with the very force that sustains the world. It is now referred to as the ultimate reality, the primary cause of existence, or the absolute ground of being, the totality of all reality. In the beginning there was nothing but the single unitary principle, Brahman. Here we have a portrait of a divinity that is simultaneously immanent and transcendent. Brahman is not only in the world, Brahman is the world. Brahman is the form and the formless, the solid and the transitory, the ethereal and the unchanging. The world of forms is pervaded by the unified Brahman as salt pervades the water in which it is dissolved. Brahman is completely beyond the world as we experience it with our senses. It is not this, it is not that. On the other hand, there are passages in the Upanishads that identify Brahman with everything that we experience with our senses. Some paradoxes here. All of life is interconnected. Our kin are not only our fellow human beings, but all other beings as well. With regard to the self, it's important to note that the essential self is defined as the Atman. Our ordinary self is simply a finite conditioned mask which covers our true and infinite nature. The self, or the Atman, is the Brahman. Atman is the immortal, unchanging self. It is beyond hunger and thirst and sorrow and delusion and old age and even death. Atman is defined with Brahman, or rather identified with Brahman, as the root of all existence. All the gods and all the beings spring from Atman, the real behind the real. One's essential self then transcends individuality and limitation and suffering and even death. The Atman is the knower of all knowledge, or the perceiver of perception. It is not the object of consciousness and therefore cannot be known in any ordinary way, for it is consciousness itself. The point here is to realize that Atman, the self, is Brahman, everything. The main problem with human existence, then, is that we're ignorant of the true nature of reality, and without knowledge of the unified and infinite Brahman, one perceives only the ordinary objects of consciousness, and therefore suffers the fate of identifying completely with the dying world of fragmentary and transitory forms. Ignorance of the true nature of reality is tantamount to ignorance of the true nature of our own selves. The human predicament then consists of a severe identity problem. We don't know who we really are. We are creatures infinitely stuck in a highly conditioned and finite personalities. In reality, we are kin to the immense universe. We are blinded by the limited projects of our own ego, and the result is alienation from others, from the very source of life, from the one, and even from our own true self. The human condition, then, is an ongoing experience of fragmentation and isolation and loneliness. And Hindu yoga and meditation aims to free us from this limited and conditioned state.